Keeping reptiles is supposed to be fun, but keeping some species makes it feel like more of a job. So today, let's go over the top 5 reptiles that really aren't worth the hassle. My name's Adam, this is Diamond, you're watching Wickens Wicked Reptiles, stick around. To be clear, I don't actually think certain reptiles aren't worth the hassle unless you don't think yourself that they're worth the hassle. This is a very personal thing, so this is my own opinion. This is a list of reptiles that take tons of time and tons of money to the point where it's like taking care of a baby more than a reptile. So really, these species are only not worth the hassle if you don't want to spend tons of time, tons of money, or in some cases, tons of risk to keep these reptiles. So let's just get into it. Number 5, Cayman lizards. These are kind of like, well, water tegus, a lot of people will say. They're from South America, and they are maybe one of the most beautiful and unique looking reptiles you could possibly ever keep. They look like they have crocodile type scales along the back of them. They have a very big and robust head. They've got these huge claws, very long tail, and not only are they arboreal, they're also aquatic. So semi-arboreal and semi-aquatic. And this is what kind of hinges the argument here, because they need tons of space. They need tons of water area, land area, and places to climb. So you're not going to find a commercially built enclosure for these guys that's going to be sustainable or suitable for them. So even if you can buy something, it's going to be custom. You're going to go to a reptile enclosure manufacturer, order something custom, but as far as I know, there's nothing that's going to be, I don't know, 6 foot times 8 foot times 3 or 4 feet deep that you can just buy off the shelf. It's not something that exists. And that's what you're going to need. You're going to need tons of room for water. So it's going to need a big substrate barrier and some sort of filtration system because these things are big and messy. It's going to need to be tall because a 4-foot lizard is going to need lots of space to get off the ground, and it needs an area on the floor. So this is just a lot of work, and it's going to cost thousands of dollars to set up properly in most cases. The lizards themselves, they aren't that expensive. And in fact, they're really not that difficult to take care of besides that huge enclosure, which is going to require tons of maintenance. In terms of food, they're going to eat things like snails. That's why they have these big, powerful jaws, which you definitely wouldn't want to get bit by because they're powerful enough to crush things like shelled insects. And anything that's big is going to take, well, a little bit of know-how, a little bit of experience in order to take care of. You wouldn't want to get a tegu, or in this case, a Cayman lizard, as your first lizard in most circumstances. So that's why I think they're not worth the hassle, just because it's going to take tons of time to clean their enclosure. You're going to want to take this animal out of its enclosure and play with it all the time. It's just going to be a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money. And if you really want something that's similar that doesn't take as much time, get a regular tegu, a black and white, Argentine black and white. It doesn't need to climb. It doesn't need the water area. It's just going to be a lot easier, and it's still going to be beautiful, look very similar, and very placid. So there you go. Number 4, hots, venomous snakes. This isn't because of the time or effort or money or anything like that. Well, in most cases, I mean, some snakes, like if you get a king cobra, then yeah, you need a huge enclosure and money and time and space or a thing, but I'm just mean risk. So this is for 99.9% of keepers. People like me, who I like reptiles, I have a whole bunch, but I don't keep venomous stuff because to me it's just not worth the risk. And there is difference in risk depending on species. If you get a copperhead or a king cobra, it's very different in terms of the bites, but both are going to ruin your day. Just one might ruin your entire life, which might last only another 90 to 120 minutes if you don't get proper care. And that's really the basis of this argument, is the risk. Is it worth keeping an animal that might kill you or maim you to the point where you might be going to a hospital, and if you're in the States, spending tens of thousands of dollars on antivenom and your care? And even if you're in Canada or a place that has universal health care, do you really want to be spending that much time in a hospital? Just really not a great idea. So that's why they're on the list. I just don't think it's worth the hassle to have something, for most people, that's that risky. With that said, I don't think that there's anything wrong if you decide to do your homework, do your research, get a mentor, and keep venomous snakes. That's up to you. I'm not shaming you for it at all. I just think for most people, it's not worth the risk of what it is, which is a risk. Number 3, chameleons. These are really great pets for some people, But I don't think if you want a big collection and you want to spend a little bit of time on each reptile, or you just want a reptile with one or two that take a little bit of time and effort, chameleons are not for you. They take up more time and effort. So that's it. That's the only thing I'm faulting them at, is that not only are they, well, they're fragile too. They don't live that long of lives in the best circumstances, never mind the fact that it's more difficult to keep them healthy than a lot of other species. For example, if you want a corn snake, I bet you I spend 12 minutes a week taking care of my corn snake. Water every other day, cleaning up the poop, feeding. That's it. Maybe changing the bulbs and the substrate when needed, but that's every 6 months or so. This is why I think that chameleons are so much more difficult. A lot of them will only eat off of tongs, so you have to feed them off tongs every single time. Now, this isn't all of them. There's plenty that will eat out of a bowl, So I'm just saying, each is an individual. They're going to need a little bit more of an elaborate type of enclosure. A lot of them need a dripper system. They're very fragile. You're going to spend some time and money at the vet. So if you want something that you forget about in terms of maintenance and it doesn't feel like you're putting a lot of effort in and most of your time is spent interacting and enjoying the animal, get a crested gecko, or even a Cuban false chameleon would be a much better option if you want something that is an arboreal lizard that kind of sort of looks like a chameleon. But if you get yourself a veiled, a panther, Jackson, whatever, those animals are going to take quite a bit more effort. And although on paper owning a chameleon isn't that difficult, it's just there's a lot of variables. There's a little bit more using your head than with a lot of other species. Just a finicky type species or a group of species, and that's why I think that they're not really worth the hassle. For what they are and the fact that most of them aren't handleable, I would just rather get something similar. But I mean, if you want to spend a little bit more time and it's worth it for you, well, that's different, right? Number 2, Amazon tree boas. Now, I'm not talking about emerald tree boas. This is a different thing. These are angry shoelaces. That's what I call them. From the same sort of part of the world, that same sort of area, but not the same thing. They're very slender and they're very fragile. And that's one of the things. Not only that, but they're angry shoelaces. They're very difficult to tame out. And I know I do get a few people every time I talk about them showing me videos of them handling theirs like it's a ball python, but this is an exception to the rule. It'd be like me saying, oh, the average man is 5'11", and then you send me a picture of Shaq. Well, what about this one? This proves that you're wrong. It's like, no, it doesn't. There's outliers. There's outliers with every species. And some Amazon tree boas are just peaches. But at the end of the day, they're fragile. So taking them out of their enclosure, and what they're going to do is generally perch onto a branch. They have a very delicate tail. And if you want to take them off that branch, you're risking injury unless you're really experienced and really know what you're doing and that animal wants to cooperate with you. But if you need to take them off the branch against their will, you're really risking injury. And when you do take them out, you're risking injury to you. Well, not really, not injury, I'll be honest with you. Their bites do suck because they've got really long and powerful teeth, but they're not going to be sending you to the hospital most likely. So Amazon tree boas, I think, are beautiful as a display animal. They're, a arboreal animal, so you're going to need something not only wide but tall as well. But you can make beautiful bioactives, and they look kind of like a piece of the rainforest in your home. And the animals themselves are absolutely gorgeous. Lots of morphs, stay beautiful, vibrant colors that look like amazing, right? It just, in my opinion, if I wanted to spend, that much time and energy making something so beautiful, I would want something inside of it that you can have multiple, like dart frogs or whatever, so your eye is all over the place, or have an animal that's at least handleable or not as fragile if you need to take them out. So again, this is a personal opinion video, right? What I think is not worth the hassle, but if you think they're worth the hassle and you have one and you totally disagree with me, let me know in the comment section. I'm not always right. And number 1, elephant trunk snakes. The only reason that I'm bringing these up is because more and more people ask me, oh, Adam, do a care guide. I'm never doing a care guide on elephant trunk snakes. I don't want an aquatic snake that has a crazy diet that I'm not going to be able to facilitate. I've had people message me who have elephant trunk snakes, and almost every single one includes an escape story where they don't have the lid on properly and the snake escapes. I think they're really cool. They're beautiful animals, and by beautiful, I mean weird looking, but I like weird looking things, right? I look in the mirror all the time. All jokes aside, I think that they're cool to have, and it would definitely be a statement piece, and people would ask you what it is, but they're not going to eat rodents, so you're going to need to find things that they're going to eat. Their diet is very variable. They're from an aquatic environment, right? So there's not really many rodents swimming in their natural habitat. There's not a lot known about them. Although they seem to be pretty hardy, we don't really know a ton about the care, so who knows if we're giving them the proper life, the very best life they could possibly have. doing the water changes, getting the diet, they're really not that handleable. They dry out quick if they escape. They're just not worth the hassle, in my opinion. Unless you really want something really cool that no one else has, then that's a great reason to have an elephant trunk snake. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. What would you have done differently? What do you think is not worth the hassle? Am I wrong about some of them? And let me know what you want to see next week. All the video ideas come from the comment section down below. Please hit like and subscribe if you don't mind. It helps this channel more than you could ever imagine just by hitting that button. And as always, a special thanks to the Patreon supporters. You guys are freaking amazing. I'm so happy that I can share more of this channel on that platform. You know about extra videos, you get extra videos, you get extra videos early, by the way. You know about reptiles in my collection I don't talk about. You are going to know about the trips I'm taking at the end of the year, some international trips with some bigger names, and all that just goes on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can be part of that too. And that's it. Because I do videos twice a week, that means I'll see you on Monday or Thursday, or it's Monday or Thursday.